Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Everyday Carry for the Everyday Guy. So before I get into today's main review, I want to talk about this. I posted a picture of this on the channel's Instagram account saying that I thought it would be a good idea to do a giveaway of this pack and all the things on the front of it as well. And I got such a ridiculous response. Like, I got a greater response for that than I got for when I did my custom firearm giveaway. Like, someone actually won a custom firearm setup like this. And I got a bigger response for that med pack than I did for the firearm setup. So I just want you guys to know that that competition is definitely going to go ahead. I am going to do it. This might be a good time to subscribe to the channel because chances are, if you don't, you may miss the Facebook notifications and things like that about this giveaway. So I'll be doing that later in the month. But today's review and today's video is based on this, the Olight X9R Marauder, or as I like to call it, the big. Everything about this torch is big, the size, the weight, the lumens, 25,000, the cost 10,000 Rand. Although I can be honest, I don't see how they were able to keep that cost that low. So let's get into the review. So as you guys know, I don't really do unboxing reviews, but this box is so ridiculous that I do need to show it to you. This is basically the general size compared to my normal size hands. It's quite a big box. It's waterproof, shockproof. It's even got a dial on it where you can control the pressure inside if you are going airborne, which is really cool. Basically, clips open up with these toggle switches, and to reveal that. Now, inside the box, it's this foam molded situation, which obviously aids in shock resistance. In the first flap, you have the shoulder sling. This torch is quite heavy, and the shoulder sling is obviously branded. And yeah, shoulder sling, super useful for this torch. I'll show you a little later on how that works. And then you've got a standard cigarette lighter vehicle charger, also Olight branded, quite cool. And then on the other side, we have the user manual, which I'm not going to go through. All this information is available on the internet. I will link to the information down below. And then you've got the charging brick and charging cable. And obviously, the thing everyone wants to see is the torch itself. So I'm going to give you a couple of close-up views of this torch. I'm going to zoom in as much as I can and focus as much as I can. This is just a readme on here. I'll show it to you a little later on. What that is it tells that the battery has a little piece of plastic that has to be removed in order for it to be activated. That's obviously so the battery doesn't drain while it's in storage. So have a look at some of the features of this. This right here is the on-off switch, and basically you've got your battery indicator over there, which is obviously 0 to full, and then you've got your lumen count over here. So the lumens start at 200, that's a 2 and everything is times 100, goes from 200 to 400, 800, 1600, 3200, 6400, 12800, and the full 25,000. Another thing I do want to show you is this really awesome rubberized grip. So this grip, it's really comfortable in the hand because of this grip. As you can see, this is quite a big torch, and this rubberized grip really does help with holding it in the hand and gripping it comfortably. And then we've got almost like this motorcycle air-cooled slats over here. This is obviously to keep the torch cool. This thing does get very hot, especially when it is at the full 25,000 lumens, so that's a cool feature on there. And then this little rubberized piece over here, I wasn't sure what that was for. It does come separate. What this is, it's an anti-roll rubberized situation. What it basically does is if you set it down on a table and the table isn't completely flat, it'll prevent the torch from rolling off. Trust me, if this rolled off a table and hit the tiles, it would break your tiles. It's made out of a solid billet of aluminium, and it's apparently got like the highest grade of anodization to it, so it's super scratch resistant and scratch proof. Really awesome. IPX7 rated, so I think that means it is waterproof down to a depth of 1 meter, but don't quote me on that. I'm sure the specs will be available on the site. What we've also got here is a little flip open piece, and what that does is your sling connects to that back end over there and the back end over here, and that's effectively what holds up. This piece can be rotated to where you want it. And then here is your charging port. I hope you guys can hear this. It gives like a little pop when you open it. So that is basically the release of pressure from being inside this pressurized case. charging port. It's also got a little rubberized handle. I'm going to show you guys in a second just how bright this is and how awesome it works. Okay, so this is the working end of the X9R Marauder, and what I do want to draw your attention to, obviously you've got your 6 LEDs here, but I want you to look at these two small holes or dots on either side, right there and right there. Those are actually sensors, and what those sensors do is they pick up heat. So basically, if you were to leave this torch on and maybe stand it up on its head, the sensor would pick up it's getting too warm, and if you hold even if you hold your hand close to it, it'll actually dim the torch. I'll try to get some shots of that in this for you. That's a very cool feature because, like I said earlier on, this torch gets ultra hot, so those sensors, like I said, their main function is to dim the torch, even switch it off if it gets too hot because of the proximity of the torch's front end to any kind of immovable object. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut to some footage I filmed at night. I wanted to get this footage at my girlfriend's family's place. They've got a place, sort of like this piece of land that's just on a lagoon, and I thought that would be ideal, but it turns out that there was nothing for the torch's light to reflect off, so it didn't get the full effect. So I gained access to a cricket field at like 12 o'clock at night. No one needs to know how I gained access to that. That'll just be between me and you. But there is a security guard out there who is 100 Rand richer right now. What I did was I shined the torch against the contrast board on either side of the field. What you'll see is the camera is about 50 meters away from this contrast board, and you'll even see on the 200 lumen setting, there isn't enough reflection for the camera's little eye sensor to pick up. That's how far I am from the contrast board. And as I go through the lumens, I'll actually cut to the sound I recorded when I was out there on the field, so you'll start hearing what I was saying. 400. And then the next one is 800. And then the next one is 1600. And then going up, we've got 3200. And now we're going to go up to 6400. Wow, that's ridiculously bright. And then 12,800. Geez, this thing is lit up like it's day. I don't know if you're getting this on the camera, but it is ultra bright. And in the full 25,000. Goodness gracious, this is crazy. So I don't know how this is looking on the camera, and I'm gonna kind of back away to the camera right now. But this is effectively 25,000 lumens, and this whiteboard and pretty much everything behind it is lit up like it's day. Like I can see houses on the opposite block, which obviously you can't see, but trust me, this is ridiculously bright. And then I flipped the camera around and I started pointing the torch at the camera. Now obviously a camera has a function where it'll sort of dim light a bit, but have a look at how bright this gets. It's absolutely ridiculous, and you can't see it, but I could actually see houses a complete city block away. The amount of brightness that comes from this torch when you get to 25,000 lumen setting is absolutely ridiculous. At some point I kind of had to stop because I felt like I might have been disturbing people by lighting up their houses at 12 o'clock at night. The distance or the throw of this torch, and you guys can go through the specs and see exactly what that is absolutely amazing. There's no doubt you can stand on one street corner and shine this light on max setting, and it'll light up everything on the other street corner as well. So let's cycle through the modes. We've got 200, keeping it down takes us to 400, keeping it down again 800, 1600, 3200, 6400, 12,800, and 25,000. Now you can see the battery meter dropping, and if I bring my hand over the torch, it cools it down and drops the lumens or the brightness until I take my hand away again. So that is the sensor and all the settings on the torch. There is one more setting, and if you triple tap the on-off switch, you get strobe. And the strobe is in full 25,000, so I'll give that a go. If you do manage to get hold of this, be very careful of this mode. It is very disorientating, so I'll give that a go. And there you go, that is strobe mode. And then obviously single tap and it's off. Okay guys, as you can imagine, the unit to power this thing is an absolute beast. So the back end of the torch twists off, and trust me, it's not one or two twists. It is like, this thing is not going to come off by mistake. It's also oiled, so it's quite smooth, but as you can see, you can't have a twist for an age for it to come off. And it reveals the most perfectly seated battery I've ever come across, and that is this monster. I'm not going to go through the specs of this battery. Obviously, as you can imagine, it is ultra powerful. All the specs are on the website. It is rechargeable, obviously, and yeah, it kind of feels like you're in like a James Bond movie, and you're sliding some kind of nuclear reactor type deal into its housing. Like, really cool. If you want to buy the torch for that reason alone, you won't be disappointed. Guys, so that is it for my review of the Olight X9R. There are a million other things I can talk about specs wise, but as you know, my channel isn't about that. I'm more about the usability and functionality. I will try to chuck in some more images here and there of what it looks like close up and the sling and all those things. But one thing I do want to talk about, so there's a lot of questions around who would buy a torch that costs 10,000 Rand. Remember, you are getting a superior product. This isn't just a torch. If you think about it in terms of people who are on safari, often in places where there's absolutely no reception of any kind, where they're out in the wilderness, this is a vital tool. If you shine this up in the air, a helicopter would see it. Let me put it that way. Also, more importantly, obviously, most of you in South Africa knows that there are quite bad things going on with farmers around here. I don't know, many policemen will know the concept of the OODA loop. That's OODA and the word loop. It stands for observe, orientate, decide, and act. Now, the most important function of that, or the very first function, is observe. The one who sees the fight first, the one who sees the fight's about to happen first, the one who sees what's going to happen first is often the one who wins the fight. And at the end of the day, light is might. That's why we put lights on firearms. That's why we put lights everywhere. This is a mobile floodlight. So if you are in a place that is susceptible to attack, and I'm not going to get into what's going on with farmers in South Africa, that's a political issue, and this channel isn't about that. But having one of these is ultra valuable. 10,000 Rand to see the fight first, I'll take that if my life depended on it. Going forward, remember there is the competition details for the med pouch with all those little nice things attached to it. September is going to be belt review month. I'm reviewing 4 or 5 belts in September, so if you are looking for a gun belt, this is the time to subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to be running through all the popular manufacturers. There are going to be some holster reviews, competition details, and that's it. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good week. Cheers. God bless.